Hi, in the last video we have discussed about this underscore config tracker index in Splunk, right, which was newly introduced in Splunk 9, and this particular index basically holds all the changes related to the conf files, different conf files, be it like safesearches.conf or macros.conf. So different conf files, it basically tracks like what are the changes happened for different configurations, right? Now for an example, we have taken an safe search in our TMDB app and we try to see what are the changes we did for that particular safe search we created in the last video. Now in the last video we ended like we will try to create a dashboard using this information. Okay, so this video we will start doing that. Now we will try to create a dashboard something like this one. So we'll have a time range picker and we'll have couple of drop downs, something like you can choose either app context, which user has made the changes, the knowledge object name, and the type, let's say safe search or macros, like that. Okay, so we will have some single values, something like how many apps are affected for a particular time range, similarly for how many knowledge objects are affected and how many users change those knowledge objects and what are the different kinds or types of knowledge objects has been changed for that particular time range we have. And in the below portion we will have a table which will have all the details of that. Okay, so it's a very simple dashboard, but I think it will be a very useful dashboard to have it. So to start with, the first thing we will do is, so we will create the dashboard in Dashboard Studio with absolute layout. So I have just taken that canvas over here, if you see it. So first thing we will do is we will try to work on the base search we'll have. So if we can build that base search with all the details, then I think rest of the dashboard creation should be fairly easy over here. So the base search, as we have discussed in the previous video, it will be join of two things, right? One is this config tracker index, another is our internal index. So from our internal index we are basically fetching all the data related to which user has changed that particular knowledge object over there, right? So let us try to get information. Now for an example, like today I made some changes to this safe search of our TMDB app, so that's why these two records are coming up for last 24 hours. Okay, so this will be easier enough to track for us to build the base search for us. Okay, and once we have the base search, probably like rest of the stuff will be very much easy over here. So I will just start with the search. I think previous video I have developed some search, so we'll start from there and we will add necessary values over here. Now if we just remove this table a bit, so just wanted to see those two events over here. So app context, we already have it. The action, that is fine. The property name, old value, new value, we have it. Now we also need, now if I just see the screenshot over here, user data will come from the internal index. We need the knowledge object name as well as the knowledge object type, right? So if we just go over here, so now if you see it over here, if I just go to any event over here, so there is a thing called stanza, right? So if I just go over here and go over here inside the changes, so these are the properties it basically logs for the changes, and this is the stanza basically, right? And for any conf file, let's say for a safesearch.conf file, the stanza name is basically tells us what is the name of that particular safe search, right? That means this stanza will basically tell me what is the name of the knowledge object here, right? So this stanza is basically extracted as this one, data.changes this stanza, this field. So let us take this field as well. So we will take this field. So we have our stanza field and we need the knowledge object type. So now if you see in the path, the last element of the path is that savesearches.conf, right? So if we just extract only this stuff, it could be like indexes.conf or macros.conf or savesearches.conf, right? So that should have a good, like that we can treat it as a knowledge object type, right? So we will do one thing. We will create another eval over here, and we will say knowledge object, or just simple say knowledge object underscore type. KO means knowledge object here, and we will take the last portion, that means -1 over here. This KO type also we will take in our table over here, right? So we will have something like this one over here. Now if we just go back, so we have our knowledge object type. Now if we just want, we can remove this .conf as well over here, right? So I will just say replace. So replace this guy, and what I will replace the .conf with nothing over here. Okay, so that will make sure like I am just only extracting the save searches or macros, something like this one. So we have our stanza name, which is basically our save search name over here. Now if you remember, in the last video we have this old value and the new value as a multi-value field. So let me show you what happened when in the last video, what we have seen it. If you see this portions over here, right? So whenever you have this property name, so they are coming as a MV field over here. Similarly for the new value as well as the old value as well. So we need some way to create separate rows for this one, right? So that we can display in the table something like this one over here. For each and every property, we will just display what it's known like old value and what is its new value over there, right? So for each and every property, we want to basically create a separate row. So now the best thing is we need to use the MV expand, but MV expand we can use it only for a single column over here, right? So in that case, what we can do is first we will combine these two things. For each and every property, what is their new value and what is their old value, we'll combine basically using that MV zip. We will zip it, then we will use MV expand. Okay, because if you use MV expand separately for this name field, then new value field, for old value field, it will create so many number of rows and the data also will not be accurate over there. Okay, so it is always good to have this using this zip, so that like the corresponding data, like for the properties, this is the data, right? So corresponding data will be in same place. So to do that, what we'll do is we will first combine it here, right? So we will say eval. Okay, so we will create a zip for the property name, old value and the new value. So property, let's give it a name, property old and new over here. Okay, now when we'll be using MV zip, we can only use 2 columns at a time. So first we will say MV zip the old and new value first. Okay, so before we do that, we have a very big column names over here, right? The field names. So let us rename these things over here. Okay, so rename the data.action. I will just rename it as action over here. So data.action as action over here. Then this particular property name, I will just rename as property name. Okay, the old value and the new value, so I'll just copy here till here, and the old value I'll rename it as old underscore value. The same name I'll give it over here, similar name, right? And the new value I'll give it as this one over here, and let's rename this guy stanza as well. So I'll rename this guy as, this is the knowledge object, right? LEDGE knowledge object over here. Okay, so first we will mv zip the old value and the new value first. Okay, now whenever you will be using the mv zip, you can basically provide a separator as well. Now you can give any separator, but you need to be very careful over here, because the main intention over here is to zip them together, then do a mv expand, then again we have to separate them together, right, using some function, let's say split or something. So you need to choose your separator very wisely over here. Okay, so what I'll do is I will create a separator something like this one, space bracket separator bracket this one, this particular string over here. So it will be something like this one. If I just run this property old new, it will be, if you see it, like if I see it from here, so here the old value was blank here, right? So value was blank, so it will be something like blank separator then 1 over here. Okay, so now with this one we need to add the property name as well over here, right? So for each and every old value and new value we have zip them. Now again we will zip them using our with our property name over here, right? So property name, with the property name I will do this one. Okay, and I will just keep the same separator I provided over here. Okay, so same separator I'll provide it over here. Now it should look something like this one over here. If you see it, like this is the property, then there was no value for the old, and this is the value for the new one over here, right? So now if you see, like it is possible like there could be some values missing over here for the old, because probably that time you are creating that particular safe search or alert first time, right? So in that case there could be some value missing for the new value as well over here. So what you can do is you can replace them with some value at least, so that whenever you will be basically again splitting them, so you will not get confused over here, your code will always work over here, right? So what we'll do is we need to find a way to replace this null values in this mv build value with some other values, right? So what I'll do is before this eval I'll do eval, okay, old value equals to, so there is a eval function called mv map. Okay, so for mv map what you can do is, for a particular multi-value field, you can run for each and every value of that multi-value field, you can run some function over there or something, right? So if I just say old value, so this is a multi-value field, I want to replace all this null value with some value. Okay, so what I can write a if statement over here, if is null, or let's say old value double equals to this blank. Okay, then what I'll do is I will take na over here, I will replace na, otherwise I'll just keep the old value over here. So if I do this, okay, if I do this one, so what will happen, if you see it, for all the null values for the old value, it will be replaced with na over here. Similar stuff we will do it for the new value as well. So instead of old value, it will be just the new value over here. Okay, so the new value over here. So then all the new values will also be replaced with na over here. So in that case our separator will look something like this one. So it is good, like at least we have something over here, not a blank over here. Okay, so we basically zipped these 2-3 things over here to make a single multi-value field over here, if you see it, right? Because it's a single multi-value field with all these details, like the name of the property, then old value and the new value. Now I can just remove these 3 fields over here, I do not need them. So what I'll do is I'll do fields minus these 3 values over here. Property, I'll just keep this one, I will just remove the property name, then the old value and the new value over here. Okay, so now what I can do is I can do the mv expand on this guy over here, right? So mv expand expand on this old new, that zipped value over here. So what will happen, for each and every property I will get a separate row now, right? So now this will be very much easier. So if I just want to create now 3 fields from this guy, so what I will do, I will just do something like this one. Okay, so I'll say eval property old new. So now again I will split them and separate them, and I'll just create 3 separate fields from here. Okay, so it will be always like property name, old value and new value, right? So I'll just split them, this particular field property old new, based on our separator we have it over here, right? So I'll just copy this separator over here. Okay, so this will create a multi-value field of the property, then old value and new value, if you see it, right? So then it is just like eval. So the property name will be now the mv index of this guy, property old new, and 0th index over here. If you see it, now it will extract the property name properly. Okay, and similarly I will create the other 2 fields over here. The old value will be at index 1 over here, and the new value will be the index 2 over here. So what we did it over here is we basically created separate rows for each and every properties over here. So that's the reason we did all this stuff over here. Okay, so now all our properties and the old value and the new value should be okay. So this will not be the new value, this will be the old new over here. From that only we are just taking this one. So all the old value, new value, everything will be in separate rows, so that we can track each and every properties in separate rows, as we will be doing it over here in this particular table. Okay, now if you want, we do not need this field now, so you can remove this particular field as well. Okay, so we have all the details we have the app context, action, the knowledge object name, knowledge object type, and their different properties, and their old value as new values as a tabular format, right? Now let us develop the other portion of the join over here, which will be coming from the internal index. So I'll do for last 24 hours only. Okay, so what I'll do is, for now I will just remove the stanza name. For now I will remove this guy as well, because we were searching for a specific safe search in the previous video. Now we have to make it very generic over here. So for testing purpose, what I will do is I will just write a where condition, which I will remove later, is the app context equals to tmdb. So this portion of the search we discussed previously in the previous video, right? So that's why I'm not discussing it over here. So we are extracting the stanza, the app context over here. So we are basically, so our join condition will be based on 2 things over here, right? One is the app context, which we already extracted over here. Second will be the knowledge object name, right, which is basically the stanza over here, which we already extracted over here. Yeah, if we have these 2 things, and there is another thing is required, which we will see it very soon. Now this search is basically giving me all the users who has basically modified this one, right? So we also taken the underscore time. This will be very much important as well, because if you join only based on this app context and stanza, so what will happen, it will basically try to take the latest value, because if you see, like, you can change multiple time a particular save search throughout a day, right? So in those cases, if you are not taking into consideration the time, you won't be able to track exactly what are the changes you have made to that particular save search, right? So we have to have some kind of time tracker in our join. It has to be there, right? And even that will be helpful for our final result as well, right? So if you see it like from this particular table, we know this user admin has modified this particular knowledge object under this app, and this he has basically made changes to this property during this at this point of time, right? So this is also very useful piece of information. So that means we need to consider time over here. So we already taken time in our internal index search. We need to find a way to take the time in our underscore config tracker index as well. Now if you see it, like when today morning I made changes to this particular save searches twice, one time using the user admin at this time like morning 10:06, another time is using this test user at around 10:09 after 3 minutes, right? Now if we just go over here and take the time now from the config tracker. So if we just take if we just go to the config tracker index, so there is a underscore time over here, right? So if we just add this underscore time over here, okay, so the time underscore time should be somewhere in our code as well, right? Now if you see it over here, this time, so when the admin user changed, so this particular event created around 10:06:46. Now in the change tracker, in this particular config tracker index, this event created around 10:07:12. That means 26 seconds later this particular event has been created. Similarly, if we just show you the one around 10:09:03, this event was created around 10:09:16 over here. If you see it, like around 13 seconds later. So that means there is no exact matching over here with the underscore time of this config tracker with the underscore time of this internal index, right? So we need to find a way to match this. So if we just see the config tracker index data, so let's see that again. Okay, so I will just control Z so that we have our query over there as well. So there is a date time over here, okay, which is basically the time I just shown you over here. That is the same as the underscore time over here. If we expand this one, so there is a modification time over here, if you see it, okay, which is exactly matching with the time I have in my internal index over here, at least the hour, minute and second over here, right? 10:09:03. This is 10:09:03 for another event. So if I just see this event 10:06:46, so 10:06:46. So that means we need to work with this modification time, this mod time over here, not the underscore time of this event over here. Okay, so that thing we need to remember. So for that, what I'll do, this mod time is already extracted using this data.mod time. I will have it over here instead of underscore time here, right? I will rename this guy as well. So what I'll rename it, this guy mod time as modified time, let's say modified time over here. So this modified time is in format of this one over here, right? So if we want to use this guy in my join, what I need to do is it is already in this format. So if I just convert this time format of this internal index, this underscore time, to that format, I can easily use this particular underscore time in our join condition as well, right? So let's do that one for the internal index now. So our mod time is now reflecting in our table. So we'll keep this one as is. We will go back over here. What I'll do is, now there is a task of making the underscore time. So we will give a similar name, eval now modified time. So I think by now we all are master of how to handle Splunk times over here. So it's already there, so I'm just taking it as is. So what I'm doing is, for the underscore time of this internal index, so I'll just take this format. I think this is the correct format. Yeah. So the first thing is the name of the day, right? Weekday over here. So that is %A. Then %B means the abbreviation of the month. Then we have the date, hour, minute, second, and 4-digit year over here, right? So that's the format I have given it over here. So this is our modified time, which I will take it over here. Okay. So now this looks similar to whatever we have in our modified time over here, right? Now, as we will be doing join with this data, right? So we already have our name of the knowledge object as knowledge underscore object. So what I'll do is, in the internal index, okay, I will rename this stanza, rename the stanza as knowledge object over here, so that we can use it in our join. So now I can remove this tmdb, at least I can keep it and see it over here. Okay, so then I will just remove this one so that I can use this particular query in join over here. So what I'll do is, I will join using this with this query over here. Okay, so I will give it a name called search, because by default the search command you need to give it over here, right? So let's format it a bit. Then join will be using what are the field names? We'll be using the app context. We have it in both of our queries. We will be using the knowledge object. We have it in both of our queries as well. And we will be using the modified time over here, which we have it in both of our queries as well, right? So if we do that one, and let's say for today, last 24 hours we do it, okay, so we will get the details of everything: the app context, action, knowledge object, type, the modified time, when it is modified, old value, new value, property name, and which user has made this change over here. So this is a good starting point for our base search, right? So let's create the base search over here. We'll go to the search over here, data overview, create a search. We'll give it a name called base underscore search over here. We will give the name over here. The global time picker will be applied over here. I'll just apply. Okay, so now we need to have 4 drop downs: app context, user, knowledge object, and knowledge object type. So let us create that. So from here I'll just do the 4 drop downs over here. The 4 drop downs. The first drop down is the app context, right? App context over here. The token name I'll just give app underscore context over here. I do not need any other values except the all. Okay, by default its value will be star. Now what will be the app context? So basically whatever the date range we'll be choosing. So if we have some data for our base search, from there only, here only I can give the app context just by take the stats, right? So if I just say set a primary data source, I'll just create a change search. So app context drop down search. Okay, so the base search will be our base search over here, right? And here I will be just taking the distinct values of the app context over here, right? So that means stats count by, if I just give the app context over here, so this will give me the list of apps over here. So if I just apply and choose, So this will have all as well as TMDB as my app context over here. Similarly, the second drop down is for the user, right? Similar stuff we will do. So we will just name the drop down as user. We will create the token as user. We'll keep all over here. Data source, we will just give it a name called user drop down search over here. The base search will be this guy, and I will just take stats count by user over here, right? user over here. So if I just do this, so what's happening over here, stats count, yeah, that's why it was giving us some error over there. Okay, so once I have that, so I have our admin and test user as well reflecting here. The third drop down will be our knowledge object, right? So knowledge knowledge object here. So this particular one will be KO, let's say the token name. Similar stuff we will do. We will data source, we will say KO drop down search over here, right? So the parent search will be again the base search, and what will be the my stats value over here? It will be the stats count by knowledge object over here, right? Stats count by knowledge object over here, apply. So currently only one knowledge object we have changed for last 24 hours, right? So that will be reflecting over here. Now the fourth one will be the knowledge object type. I'll just name it as KO type over here. The token name will be this one. Similar stuff. I'll set up the chain search. I'll say KO underscore type underscore drop down underscore search over here. So the base search will be this one, and our this will be stats count by knowledge object type over here, KO underscore type over here, right? I think we have this particular field somewhere in our search as well, KO underscore type, correct? So I'll do this one. I'll just apply. So this will have our knowledge object type as well over here, right? So let us save it. So our drop downs are ready. So now we can concentrate on our panels. So what I'll do is I will just show you a couple of panels, then probably these two panels I will just do it quickly, okay? And then we will basically display this table as well over here. So first panel is the number of apps affected. So similar stuff we will do it over here, right? So what I'll do is I will just take a single value radial, which we already discussed in our dashboard studio playlist, right? So how to work with this one. So I'm just going through it over here. So what I'll do is we'll give it a title called number of, we'll give it a title called number of apps affected, right? So it will be, the search will be something like this one. So again we'll be using the base search, right? And we will just take the distinct count of the app context over here, right? So it will be very much simple search, right? So number, let's give it a name called number of apps affected, okay? So the base search will be this one only, and over here I'll just take stats distinct count of the app context over here, right? So whenever we'll be doing for the others, like if I see you over here, so for knowledge objects, the stats distinct count of the knowledge objects over here, right? Similarly users and the knowledge object type as well over here. So let us save this one over here, okay? So this is our number of apps affected. Now if you want, you can set some background color as well over here, okay, similar to whatever we have it over here. So that's fine. So what I'll do is I'll quickly do the other 3 over here as well. We'll save this one dashboard. Okay, so I have created this 4 single value panels over here. Anyway, I'll be sharing this code in my GitHub repo as well, so that you can take a look. And anyway, these are very simple search over here. So now we can add this statistical table here, right at the below, with all the details over here. So the search will be basically same, right? So change, let's give it a title called change details over here, TAILS, details over here. And if I just create a change search over here, so change detail here, and the parent search would be base search. And here basically we can have just a simple table command with all the details over here, right? The modified time, then we can have our app context, correct? We can have our knowledge object, the knowledge object, which knowledge object we have changed it, the knowledge object type, KO underscore type, also we can have it. Then we can have our property name, the old value and the new value over here, right? And we can have the user as well, which change this particular object over here. So if we just apply and close, so we'll have this particular table over here, right? Now one more task is pending, like we have created our drop downs over here. So this tokens needs to be passed to the base search, right? So that easily we can do by editing the base search over here, right? So if I just go over here and write something like search with all these tokens, right? So I'll just copy that code over here, something like this one. So for the app context, we are passing the app context drop down token. For user, we are passing the user drop down token. For knowledge object, we are passing this KO drop down token. Basically, if you see it, like we have given this one over here, right? So okay, I think we came out of that one. So it will be something like search, this one over here, right? So let's format a bit. So and the knowledge object type equals to something, this knowledge object type drop down token over here. Okay, so if I just apply and save it, so once we go to view mode, right, and if I just refresh the dashboard again for the last 24 hours, so for the last 24 hours I basically change it twice. Okay, a particular knowledge object over here, this is the TMDB, this particular knowledge object I have changed, which is basically a save search, and this is the property I have changed it over here. As you can see it over here, I can see the old value and new value as well over here, 2 times, one with the user admin, another with the user tested over here. Okay, which is reflecting over here as well, number of user who have changed this particular knowledge object over here. Okay, so hopefully we got an idea. Now there could be numerous number of improvements we can do for this particular dashboard, but I think this can be act as a base, right? So then you can add more features to it over here. So hopefully this particular video was helpful. See you in the next video.